Item 11. This is the Auckland Future Fund. This is talking about a windfall, and windfalls are best used for long-term return. We can put that money to better use and get a return if we invest it, so this just makes sense. And staff, would you like to tell us why this does make sense? Noting, of course, in the meantime that since we flogged them, the AIA shells have dropped about nearly 25%. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just very quickly, when you passed the resolution to set up the Auckland Future Fund last year, you requested that staff consider other options to capitalise the fund. Staff has done some work, and we propose to bring those options to you following the elections in October. However, currently there's one option in front of you, that is the funds that the port will receive from its holding in the Marsden Maritime Holdings Limited. Yeah, they own 19%, and the consortium has been set up to acquire those shares from the existing shareholders. As a result of that, the port will receive around $46 million in cash. That is a substantial increase in the price of Marsden Maritime Holding shares when the offer was made in February. What we are proposing is that council request the port declare a special dividend from the proceeds that they receive from Marsden Maritime Holdings, and that those funds be invested in the Auckland Future Fund. And just note that council staff will bring to this to the governing body in the future proposals in relation on how the fund can be further capitalized. I'll leave it at that, but happy to take any other questions.
Okay, I think Councillor Fletcher should just have a word on this one here. It's something that she's been pushing for a while, and we need to reflect on that.
Thank you, Your Worship. I acknowledge the staff today in looking for opportunities to further capitalise this fund. As we heard earlier today, the legislation is passing through and will come to the second reading and committee stage probably in the next fortnight. If ever there was a day that we should be discussing this, probably for me it's today, because Councillor Ferry and I have just been briefed on the Grade 5 storm, which was greater than the anniversary weekend floods for Cyclone Tam for people in our area. As I've looked at the news, Christchurch is in a state of emergency, and I bet they were wishing that they had an Auckland Future Fund. So I don't think it's appropriate to be going into too much detail on other opportunities at this time, and I think it's better placed for this to come back following the election. But I really welcome the work. I acknowledge all of the officers who have worked very hard on it, but particular, I want to thank Chris Swarsbrook and his fellow directors for their wisdom in putting the funds on term deposit and not squandering them on investments at a time of global uncertainty. So thank you, officers, and I commend the adoption of this by all councillors today. Thank you.
I understand you want to move this, and Councillor Sayers wants to second it, if that's all right. Okay. Councillor Filipaina has a question.
Thank you. Tēnā kōrua. My question is, what has the response been by the ports in regards to this fund?
We have consulted them on making the special dividend, and their view is that they will consider it. They obviously need to consider the impact on their financial statements when, once the request is made, but they are waiting to get the request from us, and they will consider the option, yeah.
So am I to understand that they're just waiting for us to make the decision? They haven't said, look, we would use these funds to do this or do that within the ports?
It is a board decision. The board has not had a request from us officially, so they'll consider it, but they'll need to look at it in the greater financial, look at the greater financial position of the port as well, but they are aware of it and they are considering it. And they'll consider it as, the board will consider it.
I still haven't got... So the ports... Right, help me out here. What have the ports said to you around the fund? Have they said, look, we would have used this for the benefit of the ports? Or did they say, you are the parent, you make the decision and we'll give you the money? That's what I want to find out, because it's not clear in the agenda.
So, this is it's a decision for the port board to decide what they will do with these funds. We've spoken to staff at the port. They are happy to consider it, and they didn't have any concerns if, financially in terms of their projections. If the council was to request that this money is returned, that it's manageable from their perspective. It is a decision for the board. The board have met this week. Staff have the staff have briefed them on it, but there's no request, but there's been no sort of allergic reaction at this point. The board is waiting to see a formal request from the governing body. So by default, the port would use it to pay down debt. If there's a request from the governing body to have it returned as a special dividend, then the board will consider that, and no sort of issues have been raised around why there'd be any particular issues for them, but it is ultimately their decision to make.
Supplementary Chair, they didn't indicate what they would have targeted those funds for?
They would use it to pay down debt. They've got some capital program there's a capital program that's been agreed, through the statement of corporate intent. So they're going to continue investing in their capital program, and they would do that with less debt if they if you didn't
Clear
request it.
that they didn't have it. It is a windfall. They didn't have it in their business plan. Okay.
So I've read it, understand that it is a windfall. This is why I've asked the question what they would have spent it for, which was to pay down their debt. And so if they come back to the governing body and say, hey, look, thank you, but we wish to hold on to the money to pay down debt, is that, well, I think what would the response be from both of you?
The response from us is we'd report it back to you, and you could then consider what response you want to make to that. So if you approve these recommendations, we will go and formally put the request to the board. They'll consider it, and if they say no, then we'll report it back to you, and you'll have deal with that whatever you choose to do.
Thank you. I won't be putting in an amendment not to, because that'll be a direct negative. I will be, however, voting against it. Yeah, and that's my choice, because I think paying down the, look, we're not into debate yet. I will, if there's any more part I find. If not, I'll just sort of be very brief in regards to my response.
We've got Henderson, Darby and Simpson.
Mine's been asked, thanks, Mayor.
Darby?
Yeah, I'm just querying this as well. I would have preferred to have got some formal feedback from the port company on this proposal first, rather than do it this way. And I'm wondering why we're doing it this way. What is the benefit of doing it this way, rather than actually ask the port company for the implications of this and fully understand it from that point of view, rather than trying to direct them at this stage.
I understand the point that's been made. I suppose the view we've taken of it is that there was an expressed view from the governing body about opportunities for further capitalising the future fund. This was a windfall situation, and the immediate beneficiary, frankly, our view is that the beneficiary of that should be the governing body, and it's for you to determine how it should be used. And that has informed the process, but I understand it could have been done a different way around.
There's been quiet chats, of course. No surprise. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I mean, my question was quite succinct, and dare I say we're on the same way. You know, is there any risk that the Ports of Auckland directors would refuse to pay the special dividend? And I'm answering my own question because the answer is yes, right? There is a...
It's their decision, so we've engaged with financial staff at the port. They've made it really clear it's a decision for their board, and their board will consider it when there's a formal request.
I get that, and I think the resolutions, I will vote for the resolutions because it says consider, whether they would consider. So it doesn't ask them to, it asks whether they would consider. But my next question is, what I don't know, if they say no to giving it to us and keep it themselves, I don't know the impact on our dividend, you know, what that would do. So I'm not going to ask, I mean, the day full of trouble as it is, I'm not going to ask for any amendments, but can you just, when you get the outcome or when you see the board paper that goes to the directors, whenever that was, I can't remember when it is, can you make sure that when you come back to us that you know the answer to that question? That would be useful. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If they keep it themselves and then they, because they've just given us an extra 10 million, right? So if they keep it themselves and they pay down debt, you know, potentially we would get more money from our dividend anyway, but I don't know the answer to that. So my question to you is, when you report back on what their decision is, could you report back on the financial implications of whatever decision they make as it relates to their parent?
Yeah, we certainly can, Councillor.
They have been under pressure from us to improve their returns to us. If it just comes across the thing there and they just keep it in, then they would publish that they have made $48 million more than they expected to, and we would say, well, that's bloody good, give us the $48 million. So this is the most normal behaviour you will ever get. We're just asking for the windfall to come back to the owners. Okay? Any further questions? Otherwise, I'm going to step you guys back. Anyone got any? Councillor Filipina,
Thank you, Chair.
A debate?
I am disappointed in the agenda, and the disappointment is around, as Chris outlined, not having formal feedback from them. I understand that they have a choice. I hope they take the choice of no, we don't believe that we would approve this going to you because we have a better option for you as Auckland Council. We know the windfall. I am disappointed with this because I think we've gone around the wrong way and we should have got the formal feedback as what Councillor Darby said. So we haven't at least an idea. So I will not be supporting this based on what I've just said. It seems like the big sister, the big brother saying, you better, I mean, it's up to you. You got a choice on the left finger or the left hand pointing and got the jandal in the right. That's all. So I just, and as Tina said, she'll use the jandal with love. So look, I just leave it at that. Thank you.
They are supposed to be behaving like a commercial firm. Councillor Henderson.
Yeah, just really briefly, really proud to support this. Look, if it wasn't 5:49 p.m, I would suggest maybe an amendment to delete the word consider and just ask them directly, because it makes a hell of a lot more sense. But this, to me, is the future fund working normally and working for the future of Aucklanders and doing a great job for that, for the future generations. This is exactly the sort of thing that we should be doing, and I think we should be strongly suggesting that they do this and pay it in, and that'd be great. So yeah, big tick from me. Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, everybody.
Councillor Fletcher.
Well, thank you. I just want to have a shout out to our staff for responding to what we asked them for last year. There was a governing body directive that we actually look for ways in which we can provide further capitalisation of the Auckland Future Fund for the purposes of ensuring the resilience of Auckland for now and into the future. So you've done well. You have my respectful support for what you have presented to us today, and I'm entirely with Councillor Henderson that we should just get on and do it. So thank you.
Councillor Turner, please.
Thank you. I'm a yes, but I'm very pleased that the word consider is there, because I do agree with Councillor Filipino that sometimes your business can do better with the money than you can. Thank you.
Well, that's all we're asking. Consider paying. But I'd consider carefully if I was your board member. Councillor Darby.
Yeah, I'm struggling to support this. Now, Mayor, you and I sit with the chair and the chief executive at those, regulars, and we did discuss the Marsden Maritime, but I don't recall us discussing a special dividend. I do recall them saying that gone into a scheme of arrangement, but I really need to understand, what are the implications here for debt at the port company, or Bledisloe North development, or Central Wharf strategy and release from Marsden Cook. There's a lot of moving parts here. Now, I understand the enthusiasm to go and, top up the future fund, but you also need to understand things more holistically. And currently, I don't, and none of us do. Now, you can be, cheerleader for the future fund. I am too. But you also need to be a cheerleader for the port company and the sustainability of their business. Now, I know that the wording is just consider, but it's quite a strong directive when there's a resolution coming from the governing body. It's very difficult for the port company chair and directors to actually say, well, actually, that doesn't stack up, because we've actually got this exposure on debt, or we've got this exposure on Bledisloe North development, or it has implications for Central Wharf strategy. None of that we understand at the moment. So I'm reluctant, but I can't support this.
Okay, well, I mean, if you can't support it, don't support it. But we didn't actually ask them, they didn't come back and ask us whether they would sell that particular item, because that was a strategic decision that they made. So they're saying they didn't need it. And so when you're right, there's a whole lot of plays out there like this there. The even bigger thing is, in fact, where does this fit into the consolidation of the ports? Now, they didn't bother telling us about that. They just decided they didn't need it. So if they didn't need it, I want the money. And so it justifies it for me. And I'd look at this in boards and other circumstances when they produce windfalls. They don't actually have to have the windfalls. They made the decision to sell us. We didn't. They got a windfall. And I've seen windfalls wasted on dumb shit in the past. The best way is to put your windfall in a cupboard you can't get your hands on that does well. And this is a sensible thing to do. We've got a good cupboard now. And it's not like they are short of cash to do their port extensions. They have a very good business plan which shows increasing profits that didn't include this windfall. And this is a windfall of a strategic item. It wasn't actually making much money. It's a strategic sale. So I'll have no trouble voting for this. Councillor Walker?
I'm supportive of this item. I'm sure that the ports of Auckland are listening to this, and that might include some people on the board. And I don't doubt that the board will make the right decision. I would make the observation that the port is in a pretty liquid situation financially, and it may well be that they make a decision to give us the money effectively, but it's going to be a decision that they're going to make.
Yeah, I'm quite sure that the capability of the chief executive there, that if it was a bloody dangerous thing to do, he'd let me know.
So this is somewhat of a contrast to other issues where the port have got options and we're not closing them off.
In the interests of sleeping, I'm going to put this motion. All those in favour, please say aye.
Aye.
To the contrary? Okay, thank you very much for that. There is yet another item. You don't escape yet, you guys. Come on. I want to have a deep debate about the run sheet for the governing body. Now, I want to ask a lot of questions about this. I'm going to go on for several hours now about this, but I can be overruled. All those in favour, please say aye. Contrary?
Phil, have we offered support to Christchurch if there is something that...
Yes, we have through emergency management, yeah.
I'm closing the meeting. Thank you very much for your attention.